Well, from today we will be studying animation. Okay. I think in the last sem you have done basics of animation, and I think say anyhow, like I'll just uh, start from the basics again. So first thing is, like we're gonna discuss fundamentals of animation. What are the principles of animation? And here in Tool, what is a simple way of like doing animation? Okay. So first thing, when it comes to fundamentals, like first thing you should know is the principles of animation. There are 12 principles of animation which you need to learn. Okay. And for example, let me just like play this one so that you'll understand what it is. I'm not sure if you're able to hear the audio. Let me just share sound.
What is animation? Animation is the art of creating the illusion of life and movement. We can see animation all around us, in films on the big screen, our favourite cartoons on TV, the video games we play on our computers, or that GIF you texted a friend from your phone. There are different types of animation: 2D, 3D, hand-drawn, stop motion, claymation, puppetry, and many more. How do animators bring still pictures to life? In animation, we call every still image a frame. And movement is created by stitching frames together. The more frames per second, the smoother the motion will look. However, to make their animations more believable,
So that's what like here we call. See, this is a explanation for the 2D part, but when it comes to 3D, the main frames we create in 3D. Okay, we just do a set key, we create a pose, and we'll capture the data of the controllers, okay, of the pose, I can say. So later, once you create keyframes or main frames, we add in betweens. Let's say if assume this is one frame, this is another keyframe. In between, these are called in betweens. Okay, if the in betweens are perfect, we get very smoother animation.
and appealing, animators also follow a set of guidelines called the 12 Principles of Animation. Let's have a look at each one of them. Squash and stretch. This principle refers to the way we can animate objects to get longer or flatter in order to give them a sense of weight, speed, and mass. The more an object is squashed and stretched, the softer it looks. Less squash and stretch makes an object look stiffer. One important thing to remember is that the overall volume of the object needs to remain the same during the squash and stretch. When an object gets longer, it gets narrower, or when it gets flatter, it gets wider. Anticipation. This principle is used when characters or objects make an action that gives viewers a clue about what is going to happen next. In this frame, we can see an action that anticipates what is coming next: the toast jumping out of the toaster. Staging. This principle refers to the way that we present or frame an idea, so it's easily understood by the audience. There are many ways we can apply staging to an animation. It can be through acting, setting, camera angle, timing, or any combination of these techniques. Animators also use staging to control where the audience is focused. An example of bad staging would be if too many things happen at once in a scene. We wouldn't know what to look at. To make your audience focus on the actions and the surroundings, you could use a full shot. Or, if you want them to focus on a character's expressions, you could use a close-up shot. Straight ahead and pose to pose. This principle refers to two different techniques of animation. When we animate straight ahead, we are drawing each frame as we go. When we animate pose to pose, we draw the key poses first, and then we draw the in-betweens. Follow through and overlapping action. This principle happens when parts of a character's body or object keep moving after the leading part stops. This technique adds realism to animations and follows the rule of inertia. Slow in and slow out. When objects or characters move, the motion often starts at a slower pace, becomes faster, and then slows down again before it stops. In frame-by-frame animation, when we want to make objects move slower, frames have to be drawn closer to each other. When we want objects to move quicker, we need to draw the frames further away from each other. Arcs. In nature, motions are rarely straight, but instead follow a circular path or arc shape. When we apply this principle to our animations, objects and characters will move in a more organic way. Secondary action. A secondary action is an animation that supports the main action. It adds additional meaning to the primary action. Timing. When actions are happening in animation, pauses between actions and their speed are all part of timing. It also affects the way we perceive an animation and the message we are getting across. This principle gives viewers time to process what is happening in the animation. Exaggeration. This is a widely used principle and can be applied to any character's reaction, pose, and expression. By using exaggeration, we create a bigger impact on the viewer, and the message we are trying to communicate becomes really evident and more believable. Solid drawing. Creating solid drawings means illustrating objects and characters that make us feel like they are placed in a three-dimensional space and have volume and weight. Appeal. We apply this principle to illustrations to make them look interesting and likeable. For example, by using shapes when designing characters, or by changing the proportions of characters. Now you know a bit more about the 12 principles of animation. Why not give them a go for...
So this is what about, like 12 principles of animation. This is really important, when we start animating objects. A simple way, like I'll show with a simple bouncing ball. Okay, that's one part. And there are so many examples of 12 principles of animation. I want you to just go through this. Okay, there are so many types of, even for the actual movie also, it has been captured in the movie how the principles has been implemented. Okay, so you can just have a look, just refer to these things. Okay, now coming to this, I'll just show you a few tips and tricks here. Main thing here, you have this timeline. Okay, you have this range slider, time slider. In the range slider at the right, bottom right, you have animation preferences. Click on this animation preferences. Make sure in the preferences it is in time slider, and here instead of play frame, make it 24 fps bar 1. You have to choose 24 fps bar 1. This is very important, and save. Okay, so what happens um, when I play? Automatically every frame is gonna play. Okay, every frame, we need every frame to play like this. If we are not doing 24 by 1 and play every frame, that's a different one. Play every frame, what happens? It just goes run. It's quicker. Okay, it's not real time. Okay, means it's not playing in real time, so that's a problem. So make it 24 fps bar 1 and save it. Okay, that's first thing. So current now what I'll do is just place this here. What I'll do is here I'll just keep this the range slider to 25. So my start frame is 1, end frame is 25. Okay, just set up to here. And this one, what I'll do, place it on top of this line, grid line. Okay, it looks like this. So frame number 1, I'll make frame number 1. Okay, I want this ball to fall from top to down. Like I want this spear to bounce. Consider this is a ball. I want this ball to bounce. So I'll place it here. Let's say translate value or something like 8 I'm giving. So 1, how do I, in frame 1, my, the spear is here. I want to do a set key. Set key. Simple. Select this. I'm an animation. Okay. Key, set key. Or there is a shortcut called S. Okay. So press S. Just observe what happens when I press S. There's an orange tick or red tick here. So you can see all these values, translate, rotate, and scale values. All these values has been set. Okay, we have done a key for this. Okay, this value has been captured here. My frame number 1 is captured, which is here, and I'll come to frame 25. I press S for set key. So what happened now? My frame 1 and frame 25, both frames are set keyed basically, and it is in the same position. Okay, now the mid or the center um, frame number is, see, 1 and 25. The center of this is 13. Okay, so I would like to place this here. Let me just look here. I make it 1. In frame 13, this is the key. Press S for set key. 1, 25, 13 is here. Okay, any doubts? Bye Bunga. Any doubt how to do a set key? Okay, frame number 1, frame number 25, it is the same value. 13 is the mid value. So now when I play this, this is how it's looking. Okay, so major work we do in a window called, go to window, animation editor, graph editor. Major work we do by means we add these principles of animation and all in this editor only, graph editor. This editor is used to fine tune the animation part. Okay, just take graph editor. So I've taken this graph editor. Okay, so now this is how it is. See, Just observe, graph editor also have the same value, whatever the sphere selected object values and all is listed here, um, but these values are in a shape of a graph. If you observe this entire movement, what is that? One change is that only y-axis value is getting animated. Only y-axis. Rest all is neutral. Okay. So now what you can just select translate y also if you want to see individual graph. You can see. So I'll select translate y. You can press F also, F for focus. Okay. Now if you observe here, the y-axis graph, there are two things. See, in animation, this is the only thing. Do a set key, do fine tuning in graph, nothing else. Okay, it's simple. Main thing is, you need to add poses. The poses has to be really strong. Okay. See, each graph is having this, the key frames are their main keyframes, right? We have done a set key here. So you can see there, it looks like a point, and for one point, there are two handles. These handles are called as tangents. This is in tangent, this is out tangent. When you select this, this is in tangent, this is out tangent. Okay, in tangent, out tangent. Okay, and in graph, you see these are called tangents only. Here what you see, these are the type of tangents. In tangents, see this, I think this is one question which comes in your exam. It's like total 9 tangents are there: auto, spline, linear, clamp, stepped, next, flat, fixed, plateau. These are the type of tangents you have. These tangents will modify the graph, I can say, simple way. So if you observe here, okay, one more time, you just see this, like how the animation is happening. When I play this, this is what it's looking. So what I'll do, these two, the first frame and the 13th frame, you can see here, when I select this, status is frame number 1. What is the value? Value is 8. Okay, 8. Translate value y 8. I select this again. Stat says, like frame number 25, 8. Here, this vertical represents the value, horizontal represents the frame. Okay, see, frame number 25. Okay, so now these two keys, I'm gonna apply a tangent called linear. What happens, like when I apply linear, the curve will be eliminated. That particular curvy part will be eliminated. Now it gives a very quick move. It's a bit snappy, I can say now. See, there's a bounce, right? So see, it's like this bounce. There's a bounce which is happening. Okay. So now what I'll do, I'll select this again, this one. So this tangent, I want the ball, let's say this ball to hit and go up and stay in air for some time, then drop. Okay. That bounciness, we need to add that bounciness. How do I add? That's where, the timing is gonna come. So I select this particular translate y, select this. Okay. Select this particular tangent. So what I'll do is I'll go to curve. This is a curve, and in the curve I have selected this. Go to curves, select weighted tangent. That means weighted tangent. Select weighted tangent so that I'm going to add some weight. So automatically you see the tangent weight has been increased here. When I select this, the tangent is like this. Now the tangent weight has been increased. So after this, again I select this. I'll come to tangent. First is in curve weighted tangent, and in tangent here free tangent weight. I'm gonna add free tangent weight, that is length. So what happens? I select this and I can, you have to be in move tool, and I can select this. I can move this. Okay. Like this. So what happens now? I should select these two. Linear. It should be like this. I think we're making one mistake here. I think frame number one. Okay, I'll make it like this. In 13, what I'll do, I select this 13. Instead of this, this is 8. Okay, set key. Okay, frame number one I'll do. Frame number one is 1. Frame number 25 is 1. Okay, set key. Frame number 13 is 8. Set key. So I'm just doing a reverse. So one is, frame number one is 1. Set key. Frame number 13 is 8. Frame number 25 is 1 again. Set key. So it should be like this. Okay. Now I select these two. This should be linear. Now this is perfect. So see the bounce here. It was happening ulta, means the other side. Can you see the bounce? Any doubt, Bayabanga now? See what's happening? There is a bounce here, right? The sphere is getting bounced. Okay. So what needs to be done is, your frame number one of this should be, why it should be 1. Frame number 25 also 1, but frame number 13 should be here. We should give that weighted tangent. That's what, like I did. Okay. There's a bounce. So now in a simple way, what I'll do, I'll just copy all this. How do you copy this? Select the sphere, double click, double click here. See, select the sphere, double click. Once the animation of this is fine, double click, right click, copy. You need to copy the keyframes. I'm copying the keyframes. Okay, now I'll go to up to 200. Okay, so now what I'll do, I'll come to frame 25. Okay, right click, paste, paste. So what happens up to here you have. So I'll come over here, right click, paste, paste, select, right click, paste, paste. Do it manually. Okay, paste, paste, right click, paste, paste, right click, paste, 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 paste. Up to here, up to 193 I have done. Now if you notice, this is how the graph is looking. Okay, if you press F, this is how it is. Okay, now what I'll do, so if you observe, it's keep on jumping on this in the same place, right? Now I'll come to 193 here. So I want I want the y-axis, not y-axis, the x-axis. x-axis at 193 to be here. That means I want the sphere to travel like this, bounce like this. It should go like a proper bounce up to here. And I come to up to 193 and I press S set key. So what happens from it is happening like this, and from there to here it will come. Now that is translate X, right? I go to translate X. See, translate X, it is looking like this. This is my first keyframe. This is the last keyframe of translate X. In between, whatever is there, I'm going to select everything and I'm going to delete it. Okay. So what I do is at this part or at this part, I'm going to make it linear. The first one should be linear. Linear. Select this. This is linear. So now what happens? There is a movement. See, the sphere is moving. But if you notice, the height is same. It is retaining the same height, right? We don't want this height. I want to reduce height. How do I do that? Go to graph again. Translate Y. I select this. You can select this. You have to be in move tool with middle click down. Make it bit down. Leave this. Select this. Make it bit down. Leave this one. Select only this down. Select this down. Select this down. Select this down. Select this. One or okay, I'll make 0.5. Like this. Okay. So what happens now? See, the height is going to reduce. Okay, that's what we did. So the next thing is, okay, one more thing I'm going to do. So here, it's like this. I'll come to the end, and here I want a rotation up to here. So there is a rotate Z. I did rotated this. Rotate X, rotate Z. So except first and last, I delete all the keys and it's okay. Okay, linear. Okay, how do you see the rotation? Let me apply a new material, which is Maya surface Blinn only. I'll apply Blinn, and in Blinn, here checker box, I'll apply 2D texture called ramp. Instead of V ramp, I go with U ramp. It's like this. Linear, none, no linear. See, like these colors. Okay. Then later, I'm gonna add a bit transparency, bit ambience. That's okay. So now let's see how does this looks. Look. Got it. How do we create a bounciness for this? Any doubts, Bayabunga? Or any questions? You have to unmute, man.
No doubts. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, I think, like I'll stop here. So why don't you guys, create one bouncing ball which looks something like this. Okay. And do let me know if you have any doubts. So next class, I'll show you some of the interesting things in this itself. You have infinity. Okay. You have pre-infinity, post-infinity. There are so many interesting things out there in the cycle, offset, linear constant, so many things. We'll see all this. Okay. Um, so many new things also we can learn. Okay, try to create this bouncing ball. So we'll see you in the next class. Just inform your friends, man, again, okay, not to miss the class. I think this is one area you all can do a demo reel, and it's quite simple, I can say. Okay, then, bye. Take care. See you on the next class.